Pretty good warm-up. It is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for tonight, Chris Hardwick, who's the host of AMC's Talking Dead. Talking Dead is the live after show where Hardwick spends time with fans, actors, producers, and TV enthusiasts recapping the most recent episode. Chris Hardwick.
Guys, thank you so much for coming out. This is huge. This is like the biggest event that's been held here in a really long time. So thank you guys for making that happen. They actually had to accommodate people in another section to live stream this. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. Are you guys excited? Are you freaking out? I mean, you see, one of the most, I was a fan of the comic books before they said, we want to do this after show, and I was a fan of the first season of Walking Dead, and it really is. I mean, I can say this, even though it seems like I'm biased, but it really is one of the most amazing shows on television. And I feel like the reason that we're able to have a Talking Dead is because the show is so good and so dense with drama and so much messed up stuff that you're shaking afterwards. Like we are therapy afterwards to kind of help you guys, because you just can't go to bed right after that. Like you need a drink or something. So we are that for you. We're a drink for your brain. And it's been a huge honor to get to know these folks and sort of, kind of be on the outer edge of the circle and go down and visit the set. And everyone's as cool as you would want them to be and super nice. And we're all just sort of free. I haven't seen the second half of the season yet, so has everyone's seen up to this point, right? Pretty much?
Yeah.
If you've not seen up to this point, you should leave, because we're going to talk about stuff, you guys. There's going to be some spoilers up to this point, so I'm super excited, ready to get in this. We're going to be live streaming this as well. I have some questions from the social media audience, and we're going to get into it. So I'm going to introduce everyone in order. So I'm going to start our first guest, ladies and gentlemen, as Glenn, Steve Yeun! Ladies and gentlemen, it's Daryl Norman Reedus! As Michonne, Danai Gurira! Well, guys, Rick Grimes, Andrew Lincoln! And of course, the new character this season that everyone was super excited about seeing coming onto the show is the Governor, David Morrissey! Next coming up is Andrea Laurie Holden. Co-EP and special effects ninja Greg Nicotaro. Executive producer Gail Ann Hurd. And of course, the guy whose brain thought of The Walking Dead. Please welcome Mr. Robert Kirkman. Sort of awkwardly in between Rick and the Governor. This is so exciting. I have only watched up to the half-season finale. I don't know what's coming up yet. There's a lot of speculation. The show's coming back Sunday. A lot of things have not been resolved that I really need resolved in my life. Robert Kirkman, how are you? Where is your brain right now? Are you prepared for what you're about to drop on people on Sunday?
Yeah, it's really odd. I was telling people in the press line that I'm really excited for these episodes to air because there's always stuff in the episodes that I can't talk about. So every time an episode airs, there's more things that, you know, people are aware of. It's really difficult for me to do stuff like this because we're already like working on season 4, like the way the timing works, and so I've got a lot of that stuff in my head, so I'm hoping I don't let anything slip while I'm here.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of really awesome stuff coming up, and a little bit of resolution for some of the things that are hanging out there. So
I find you to be pretty bulletproof when it comes to spoil. You don't let anything go. Like, sometimes if we're just hanging out, I'll just casually go, so how does it end? And I can never trick you into telling me anything.
You should ask better questions. How does it end is a pretty easy one to dodge.
Yeah, but see, I'm hoping like you just spill one thing, it's like, ah, crap, I might as well just tell you everything, you know. How do you have these two universes in your head. You have the comic book universe and you have the television universe. How do you keep track of what's what, and how do you know, like, oh, this hasn't aired yet, I can't talk about this yet?
I don't really know. The comic book stuff is so much different, you know. It's so much more advanced. The characters are in a much different place. So when I think about what's in the comic book and what's in the show, it doesn't really translate. So it's not really the show I view as like an alternate past. So
right.
That stuff is easy to keep separate. But as far as keeping track of where I'm at when I'm doing interviews and stuff, it's it's a little tricky. I do a lot of research.
Gail, so you've been on the show since the beginning, and so how have you watched the show evolve? Like, what have you seen now that you've had a chance to step back and in retrospect look at the last three seasons? What is it that you've seen happen?
Well, I love the fact that every episode that I watch, coming from a feature background, is like a mini movie, and what impresses me is not only the scope that our directors, including the fantastic Greg Nicotaro, who's directed 3 this season.
Yes.
But the reason people watch the show, in addition to the fantastic writing, is because of the cast. Because they make it dead real. This is a world where you're invested in the characters, and we are just blessed to work with such a fantastic group of people, and that's what really gets me, is seeing the evolution of each member of our cast of characters.
Yeah, it's funny because people ask me in interviews like, what do you think it is about The Walking Dead that makes so many people watch it? Because it's good? Like, what a ridiculous question. Like, it's the perfect synthesis of, like, the story's great, the acting's great, the special effects are amazing, and the show just looks gorgeous. Greg, how do you sort of up the game each season when you kind of take a step back and go, okay, here are the practical effects and the CG stuff that we did last season. What can we do this season to up the game?
Well, coming from a fan perspective, because I love zombie stuff. My first gig was George Romero. I mean, it's I put stuff out there that I want to see. The advantage of being a producer on the show is it kind of gives me free rein to come up with some really cool stuff. Last season the writers all came to K&B, had a little field trip, and when they left the shop, I got a call from one of them, and they said, "Oh, we have this great idea of this like big giant bloated walker that comes out of the well." So it's sort of that came from an idea that they had just walking through K&B and seeing the thousands of body parts and severed heads and things that we have laying around, some real, some fake.
It's a pretty scary place.
It's pretty amazing, and then at any given day you can go there and just see a guy like beating the crap out of a zombie head with a pipe, and then everyone laughing as blood flies everywhere.
And then you go into the shop.
That's well
done. The thing that I find fascinating about the fans of the show, and I know everybody on this panel will say the same thing. You get stopped in the street and people say, "I love the show." They say, I told my friend to start with season 1, episode 1, and they're addicted. It's like they can't stop. You start with that episode, you go, and then all of a sudden the first 6 episodes are over. They're like, wait, there's only 6? I want to see more. And then they plow through it. So if you see people with circles under their eyes with holding Walking Dead DVDs, they watch the entire 2.5 seasons in one sitting. And it's pretty astounding that the show and this cast and our great crew really is able to do something that where people just pay attention.
I'm actually surprised at some of the stuff you guys are able to get away with, where it's like, oh my God, Rick just cut that guy's face in half, and this is, you know, this is television, but it looks, and I think it's a testament to how good the effects are that on television where people are watching up close. You guys.
Visual effects, Stargate, because we work in tangent with them and Daryl Pritchett. There's a lot of really great people that contribute to that. But you know, the thing is that it's fun to kill monsters. I mean, who doesn't want to chop up, you know, zombies and dead bodies? And,
well, I think people in a zombie apocalypse would prefer not to have to do that.
You got me on that.
Laurie, we talked just for a quick second backstage, and you said something I thought was really interesting, where you go, are you mad at Andrea this season? I'm like, no, I'm not mad, but I keep seeing her get into these relationships, and I'm like, come on, that guy! No, not you. David, this is a private conversation. What are you doing?
It's time to let it work.
But I see, you know, it's like, do you think, like, this is happening with Shane too, like, do you think Andrea kind of sees that dark side, or does she just see, like, you know, these are strong companions, this is survival?
I don't think she sees the dark side at all. I mean, you have to understand that Andrea doesn't know and isn't privy to what the audience knows.
Yeah.
All she knows is that, you know, at the beginning of the season, she was out in the wild for 7 months, you know, living in the woods, and they come across this beautiful town, and she's able to breathe and hope and dream, and she thought that, you know, those days were over, and it's not like she chose the governor over Michonne. She chose a life, a community. Is he charismatic and wonderful? Yes.
Don't try and get on my good side now.
I can't take my eyes off.
You know, so far he hasn't shown himself to be a brute. I mean, there's a lot of things that he's done that she's seen that she can kind of understand. I mean, the fact that he had a zombie daughter in his closet, well, you know, but at the same token, I sat next to my dead sister for 2 days waiting for her to turn. So, you know, the rules have changed. But yes, I think Andrea is an alpha female, and I think that she's drawn to strong men. Whether they happen to be crazy or not, you know, that's the unfortunate part of the mix.
But she's not, you know, what's interesting is that she's not a weak character drawn to strong men. She's a very strong character drawn to strong men. And it's even the tension of, like, why don't you put me up there with a gun? Like, you know, she's kind of a badass character.
She is.
Do you think, I would wonder that in a situation like this, is that idea of the town, you said, like, well, you know, it's a community again that she hasn't had in a long time. Is comfort one of the most dangerous things that you can have?
Yeah, I mean, there's an expression, if it's too good to be true, it is. And that's Woodbury.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, after she lost her sister and her family, it was too good to be true. But she, you know, she drank the Kool-Aid. She saw, you know, pregnant women walking around with no fear. She saw people walking dogs and, you know, these beautiful elderly people planting their gardens, and she's like, are you kidding me? It's the end of the world, and look at what this man has created. Sign me up, I want to be a part of this.
She did also see people beating the crap out of each other with zombies chained by the throat.
Well, my best friend, my best friend has 2 zombie pets, so, you know, there are no rules here.
You do have those.
You'll get to me.
I think, David, it's been amazing watching you this season, because if you read the comic book, the governor, he's kind of a dirtbag from the, like, you know right away, like, this guy's bad news. But what we really got to see you do is humanize the guy. Like, we didn't kind of drop in when the governor was already kind of like basically a supervillain. We've kind of taken a little bit of a journey with you. Obviously no character thinks that they're evil, but what's going on in the governor's head up until the mid-season finale?
Well, the starting point for The Governor was Robert's book, The Rise of the Governor, which is a fantastic novel. And, that's his backstory right there. That's who the man is. And we wanted to bring more of that character into the first half of the season. So it's more about, who he is, his complexity. I mean, you're right, in the comic books, he starts, the minute you see him, he's doing quite evil things right off the bat. And you can hit a creative ceiling with that really quickly. So it was about giving him some humanity and something to fight for. And I think that thing with his daughter is very understandable. I think, everybody in this world has lost someone that they care about. And Herschel had a barn full of people that he cared about. And, it's not out of the norm to want to have some of that past and to love someone and hope that they, to be close to them even though they've turned. And that's really, I think everybody in this world has that.
Close to them with their heads in an aquarium.
Well, I think that's, it's weird, but I think that's,
He's desensitizing himself.
It's a bit like watching lots of TV screens at once. But no, it's like, but no, he is. That's what he's doing. He's seeing the enemy, he's looking at it, and he knows that if those heads are in the tank and he's watching it, that he's alive. That's what he's using it as fuel. If they're dead, he's alive. That's the bottom line. And you have to dehumanize the enemy. And even if they're, the undead, you have to be looking at them and confronting them and knowing that you're better than them because you've got to go out and fight them. So it's all about, psychologically ramping yourself up to know that you're better than your enemy, that you can beat know your enemy. Mm-hmm. You've got to know your enemy.
No, he's crazy.
Know your enemy.
Was his daughter was that his humanity dying in that last?
Well, that's what the second half of the season will explore. I mean, I think, he's in quite a dark place where we leave him. He's got, he's angry at the world. He's closing down, but there are people around him, Andrea and possibly Milton and people like that who, maybe they can rescue his humanity and remind him of the things from his past, and that will be the fight going forward.
Now, I feel like you guys are pretty emotionally matched at this point. He just lost a daughter, you lost your wife, you do have a new baby, but Rick definitely went to
Crazy town.
Crazy town. I didn't want to say it that way, but I appreciate that you took the pressure off.
Yeah.
We did a poll on Talking Dead, which was, and by the way, I want to point out, this is part of what the amazingness of the show is that no character is safe. Like Lori died episode 4. Like that would be normally for any other show like a season finale, and that's episode 4.
And irony as well. Yeah, we lost T-Dog as well.
T-Dog! Oh. I got all these tweets in all caps that were like, not T-Dog! He was so sweet. He came on the show and he was choked up and he was
very emotional.
He was. So we killed him. But what you did, like after where you sort of go on the killing spree, most of the people in our poll said, yeah, that I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I was in a great deal of distress, but there was method to the rampage. I mean, I was trying to find the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
I mean, so it wasn't just. I mean, of course it was. I wanted to kick their asses,
Yeah.
but actually, at the end result, the net result was I just wanted to see evidence. I looked in my son's eyes, and that gave me what I knew. But I think there's something incredibly pragmatic about Rick, and possibly why he's such a sort of tenacious and good leader. He just went, no. Denial, one of the qualities of, grief. And I wanted to sort of show as many of those in the aftermath as I could,
That was a rough episode, I think, because I watched the episodes a couple hours before we do Talking Dead, and I was really. I actually needed a Talking Dead of my own to get me out of it, and I didn't have it. So when we did the show live, like I was visibly like, okay, we're gonna get through this. Like I really was shaken up because your performance, and then Chandler was amazing in that episode.
I mean, how good is Chandler?
Chandler Riggs. Tears streaming down his face, but then you hear the gunshot, and you just see this cold slab of a shell of a person just walking by quickly.
Well, certainly the second half, the arc, the story. I mean, it is the only downside to the show is the fact that we lose incredible characters and incredible actors like John Bernthal, Sarah Wayne Kelly, Jeff DeMunn, and ad infinitum, and but I do think it probably is will be one of the enduring strengths of the show, is the fact that it keeps reinventing itself. You know, and all the characters keep sort of, you know, there's a, you know, the group dynamic changes, and, you know, it feels like we are a moving target, but certainly Chandler Riggs' performance in The Bag Hay is spectacular. We lost one of, in my opinion, my finest leading lady in Sarah Wayne Callies, but what it did to the story was magnificent, and what that actor did was breathtaking.
Yeah. Well, because at this point now, the show, the survivors never can feel safe. They're in this situation where they can never feel safe, and because the show has this dynamic with the audience, where anyone could just go at any moment with no warning, you never really, you feel that.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm getting attached to people.
That's it, and you root for them. I think that's why people watch it in groups as well, is because you have that kind of, you know, you want people to survive, you know, and when they do, it's heart-wrenching. I mean, I remember the day when we had to do that scene, and I had to take, one of the writer said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking my contacts out." You know, because whenever I have to do an emotional scene, I just take my contacts out. It means I can't see, but it also means that, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And then, you know, it was just agony. The whole crew felt it. You know, it's when, you know, Maggie comes out, and I thought Lauren was just magnificent with the baby, and it was a real baby as well, which is just like, oh my Lord. And the mother's there as well, and there were a couple of takes when it went a bit dark, and I was screaming at a baby. I had to apologize at the end. And
It's a professional acting baby.
Stunt baby.
Only call me by my character name.
That was like the first zombie that my first kill was the one in the girl with that actually my daughter's been doing an impersonation of this Christmas. Scarred for life. And it's the one with the baby with the teeth, and I shoot her in the head. And I was so worried about this, and I was going up to her, and I was just going all through the day, and I was like, "Are you cool with all of this?" And she was like, she didn't speak because she had sort of her teeth wired up by him. But eventually, after about the fourth time, she said, "What are you talking about? This is the fourth zombie I've played this year." And she was 11.
Yeah.
So I was like, after that, I was like, whatever.
I guess it's hard to say, because obviously this, you know, we're still in season 3, but how broken do you think Rick is at this point? He never, you know, it's like he and Laurie, like, they almost started to make up, and then he never got that chance. So is this that hole there forever?
Yeah, I certainly think that when you lose someone that close to you, it changes you irrevocably, and the situation and how it happened. I think Rick is one of these people that punishes himself. I mean, he blames himself continually. I think that it's sort of, I've always said this from the get-go, is that it sort of degrades him. He starts to, it's beautiful being able to play a guy that starts in one place and then changes completely. I think it's an incredibly ambitious and bold thing for AMC to do, to have a principal character who is not the same guy that you met in the first episode.
Right.
And I think all of these characters do that. I think that that's one of the most compelling things, certainly this season and last season, is that you see these people change.
Oh, those jerks in the bar.
Oh.
Where you're just blam blam, like, oh, Rick's gone. There you go.
Yeah, those guys didn't change very much.
No, well, they changed a lot. They went from being alive to dead, not being alive. And also the way that the show, it's just that emotional tugging of, you know, they kill a main character, and that's devastating, but then they sort of force you to have a hope at the same time because she has a baby, and now you guys have a baby to take care of in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, he did a great job, I thought, of looking after.
Oh my God! You know, I was doing I do a lot of stand-up on the road, and what I do, people always say, like, that scene with Daryl and the baby. I'm like, I know, I almost got pregnant watching that. Just watching this guy, like, as a guy, I was so like, oh, I can change him. Like, I started to You're watching all these characters flip-flop, and you're watching Daryl go from really just kind of sort of an obnoxious redneck to like he's a real valuable member of the group and compassionate at the same time. Did you get a lot of feedback on the baby holding thing?
Ovaries exploding.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I did. I mean, you know, the thing about him too is like he's becoming this new man. You know, he was sort of destined to become Mini Merle. You know. So, you know, having people rely on him and stuff is giving him this sense of self-worth that I think he would never have before. So.
And now, of course, the big, I mean, there's a lot of things that I think the first episode that we're hoping that we see, but I think it's pretty obvious that some serious stuff's going to go down with you and Merle. But now that Merle's been ostracized from that group, I mean, it's kind of an unfair question because you know what happens, but
He's not coming to the prison.
No, he's.
He stepped on a lot of toes, that guy.
Do you feel that Daryl is far enough in with Rick's group, or could he be swayed by Merle?
Well, I mean, I think when you get those two brothers together, you know, little brother turns into little brother and does what big brother says. So he fights that. That's his own little personal battle, and you know, Rick and the rest. You know, Rick is sort of like the brother that Merle wasn't. You know, so it's definitely, you know, some conflict. He's like your drunk uncle at a Christmas party.
Well, except that they stripped him of his stump knife, and now he's sort of like, they weakened him, basically. They weakened Merle, so.
Yeah, but you know, he's still Merle.
He's still Merle,
you know, so.
Yeah, at the end of the day, still Merle. Danai, you know, before this season, of course, the big question was, when are we going to get to see Michonne? When are we going to get to see Michonne? And then, you know, finally, it was so genius. If you remember the season finale of season 2 of just, you know, saving Andrea, and there's Danai, and then the pets. And so you were a character that people have been super, super excited about, and it feels like they were on board with you right away. How has the experience been for you this season?
It's been great. I mean, firstly, it's such an amazing, you know, cast and crew to join. So I was so, you know, wonderfully, like, enveloped into this group and indoctrinated by, you know, my bestie over there, you know, both on and off the screen. So it's been amazing. And it's been, you know, beautifully intense, you know, just adapting to the level of work, like physical and emotional, and also, of course, the beautiful direness of the set, you know, being out in the midst of, you know, George's heat and bugs and beauty and glory. So yeah, it's been really great.
I hope people really understand that, because I'm sure that I'm sure there are some people who are like, well, acting's not that hard. It's like, you know what? Go out into the dead heat of summer in Atlanta, swing a friggin' katana all day, get super emotional, like do that every day for like 12, 13 hours a day. I mean, what, you know.
Fight off the ticks.
Yeah, they have to check themselves for ticks every day, because ticks love Georgia, it turns out, and they keep a lot of them there. And so you guys, it's really in kind of a hostile environment. It's not a cushy environment every day.
No, but I mean, there's something that are really gratifying and like kind of refreshing about that. You know, there's so many aspects of sometimes you have to get on a set or do work and you have to get really kind of glammy and stuff. And it's really great that this show kind of says, forget all that and just, you know, tell the story. And you don't have to think about the last thing any of these characters are thinking about is how they look. You know, and there's something kind of refreshing about just being able to go on there and, you know, have actually more dirt sprayed on you than like the outside gives you naturally.
Yeah.
Just go for it, you know, and I kind of relish that. That's kind of fun.
Is there, because Michonne's pretty, she's got armor. She definitely has emotional armor. But do you think she has a breaking point ultimately, or is she just way past it?
No, I think really the end of episode 8 for her there was some breaking points happening for her. The sort of the loss of Andrea that she feels when that moment with her in the governor's cave, where she feels that she's really lost Andrea, that Andrea has chosen someone else over her, and that really leads her to kind of submitting to Rick and offering herself to him at the end of the episode, and saying not fully offering herself to him. That came out
in the DVD extras. Spoiler alert.
You know,
Look, he just lost his wife. What are you doing?
really saying, let me be a part of the group is really what she's saying at the end of that episode, because she recognizes she needs community, and to actually go to that point for her is pretty much a breaking point. It's really saying I could go out and get 2 more pets and wander off on my lone road again, but I'm choosing to actually become a part of a community.
Well, yeah, it's kind of rough because I'm sure Andrea's character is the first. It seemed like the first person that she had, like bonded with and trusted for a while. And how long do you guys? Was it like about 8 months or so that these 2 characters were? What do you think is happening during that time? Are they just kind of like going from shack to shack and shelter to shelter?
Yeah, all of it. I mean, I think we lived in the woods. I think we hung out at Target. I think we were, we found a super Target.
We found a super Target. We built a backstory of all the things, our adventures, and we got a little map in the gas station.
All the time, this whole group.
Everything you say is law. Let's move over to what is your favorite moment in television in 2012 or 2013. What's your favorite moment on the show that you've seen so far, Danai?
Oh, there's so many. I think the scene with the Steven scene is really powerful. I also love the scene between Maggie and the governor. It just really touches into that sort of war zone aspect of what happens to a woman, what can happen to a woman's body and her vulnerability during a time when the rules are gone. And I think that really touches into that sort of war zone element that makes the show, the TV show, sorry, coming from theater right now, it makes the TV show so powerful, is that it is who do you become, and who does a woman become, and what does she have to endure. And so I love that scene.
What scene what really steps out for you?
I kind of love all of the scenes. It's difficult because I don't watch the show, so it's quite hard for me to,
that's right.
to talk about those scenes, because I watch it, although I do watch you do the
Wait, you don't watch the show?
I should explain, because we talked about this on Talking Dead. It's that
I like Girls. Have you seen the show Girls?
oh, the show Girls. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said the show Girls. I like girls.
Those are nice.
You two be cuddling, but I like girls.
Those are pretty. It's just the idea that you don't want your performance kind of affected by your perception of your performance, so you don't watch your performance on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is a really yeah. I just didn't want, because I don't want people to be like, Andrew Lincoln doesn't even like the show. Like, no, it's not.
I love the show. I love
yeah.
the show. And I love reading every script that comes out, and I love the story of these characters. But I just don't enjoy watching myself.
It's hard to watch yourself without judging, and you don't.
Yeah, it's kind of like a spell. It's kind of you do the spell, and I just don't want to get involved in it.
Well, whatever you're doing is working. So you didn't ask, but you got golf clap. That sounded like a place we should be putting our hands together. That was an Oprah moment. You're getting a car, and you're getting a car. This is from John. First off, can I just say that Michonne is my favorite new character right next to Tyrese. My question is for everybody, if there is one character that you could resurrect from the dead in the show, who would it be? For me, it'd be Morgan, if he is actually dead, or Jim, if he is alive. The end. So let's start with you this time, Stephen. If there's a character you can bring back, who would it be?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, but I want to be diplomatic. All of them, I love all of them, but for me, hands down, Jeff is like, God.
That would be Dale.
Dale. I'm sorry, Jeff DeMunn, Dale.
He just has a way of teaching you something just with the look. He's just such a wise and...
Yeah, I mean, also like even from a character standpoint and from a personal standpoint, like that's Glenn Sage. And I remember when we were doing the first season and the second season, we lived in the same areas. So I was like a fly on the wall for every Jeff DeMunn wise saying that he would put out. Oh, I'm gonna write that down. And I remember doing that scene with Lori at the RV, the second season, In my head, I was like, oh, I hope I can really get to that place to feel that emotion that Dale's gone. I never have an easy time acting, but that one was easy because
It was.
yeah, it just
We
flowed.
literally had to show up. I don't mean to say that in a strange way, but we had so much love for the actor and for the character that all we had to do was look at the RV, and he was, you know, he was your sage, and he was
Coming. I thought, oh, it's television, they'll find her. And
Well, we did find it.
You know better now.
Yes, now I know better. But when that happened, I kind of I jumped off my couch, and then there was a lot of swearing. Because it really was. I mean, you what was that scene like for you?
Well, I thought John Bernthal was just magnificent in the whole lead up to that, and this frenzied, the kind of wild man turned up on set, and it was just it was surreal, like most of those moments, and it was demoralizing. It was heart wrenching as well, and I think so many
Everyone show that they're not what I love about the show is nobody's a perfect character. There's no that's that guy, that's that guy, that's that guy. There's always like, oh wait, I thought he was like this, and then all of a sudden he changes, and realistically changes. And so I'm excited for people to see that.
Cool, Lauren, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how all this business with the governor is divisive for the group, and I think it's going to be interesting seeing how the good guys respond under pressure.
Norman?
The same, really. I mean, everybody's so complex. I mean, all these characters are so, they start off one way and they turn into another thing, and you know, watching Carl turn into this monster, warrior, badass kid, and you know, this lovey-dovey thing, and that lovey-dovey thing, and this broken-hearted thing, this badass. I mean, there's so much stuff going on, and there's not a weak link in our chain right now, so I'm excited about it.
Danai?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I think it'll be cool to see, see Michonne sort of open up a little bit.
Is she on? Do you think she's on anyone's side at this point, or is she just on Michonne's side?
Well, I guess we'll have to. But I mean, come on. I mean, I think at the end of the episode, there are things she does, but the way she does things it just gets a little confusing to people watching her, and that's what she wants.
Right.
But I mean, her actions, I think, have involved, as, her showing her side. She does help Rick's group get to people who had been abducted, who she had a lot of problems with.
I mean, she's playing with the. It's just that moment. I mean, she has good instincts too. It's like the second they get to Woodbury and the governor's like, "How about some tea?" She's like, "We have to get out of here."
Well, I mean, personally, the guy called himself the governor. Like, I didn't vote. Where was the election? I didn't even get an absentee ballot.
Right.
So, like, it's really hard. This guy thinks he is, and why does all these dudes follow him around like he's Jesus? He's not.
Yeah.
So, I don't see him walking on water and healing the blind. He can't heal his own eye. So. Sorry about that. So yeah.
That got a little real.
By the way, I love David. We enjoyed that.
Oh, don't stop.
It's got to be fun to sort of play the sort of antagonist, the kind of a character that would be perceived as a villain, though, right? It's like,
He's not a villain. He's a good guy.
it's got to be hard to play the most evil, pernicious.
in the history of television.
In the history of
Or comic books.
all media. This is an interesting question for Andrew Lincoln. Hi, my name is Peter, and I am from Latvia. Hi, Peter. Hello. My question is for Andrew Lincoln. I love the way this is phrased, and now that I read that the first part is that anyway, you're an inspiration as an actor, and so is your character on The Walking Dead. I wanted to know if there is going to be more breakdowns this season from Rick, like for instance when Lori died. What's a break?
Yes, I don't think he's fully out of the woods yet.
Right.
Peter from Latvia.
Peter from Latvia.
But I am looking, just in answer to the question before, episode 12 is my favorite episode since the pilot. For so many reasons, and I'm just really looking excited to see the audience reaction to that one.
Oh yeah. So you must get from people, like when you go out in public, people are like, oh my God, blah blah blah, and they just start.
Yeah.
How do you sort of, because you know, people were certainly familiar with you before, but now you're on the biggest show on television, and so I'm sure, you know.
Well, they don't. I've moved out of London into the countryside, and they're not really Walking Dead people out there. Yeah. Although there is a guy from Brazil who works in the coffee shop who freaked out when he saw me. I was wearing Wellington boots and was just being me.
You could totally freak that guy out if you just came in and just did the southern accent and be like, it's all messed up out there. Oh my God, what do I do? Just put on the badge.
He's Italian. The guy.
I know.
He's Italian. What's that accent?
Giuseppe.
Well, I was born in Italy. And then I work in the suburbs of England. Wants a pizza? But I'm half Italian. I can do that accent. But do you ever, since doing the show, so you have this nice house in the countryside, do you kind of look around and go, yeah, I probably should fix up the cellar just in case? I mean, do you feel like you're being protected?
That's exactly what we've been doing in the interim. We've been building bits, bunkers.
Yeah. You can't not get into your head a little bit, like just in case.
Funnily enough, this season was the only season I started to have nightmares.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's.
Well, it's hard. I mean, you guys, again, it's not. For an actor, I would imagine, and I host shows, so it's not like I go home and I'm like, I'm still hosting. Like, but you guys, you go to such emotional depths, and so how do you shake that off after a 12-hour day?
It's easy. If you're breaking down and crying for having a sort of shattering experience, you get to do it. You get to get rid of it. It's a catharsis. It's great. You should. And I don't subscribe to the idea that people should punish everyone else. If there's a bad scene or a difficult scene, no one else should suffer.
Right.
It's your job to do it, and it's a luxury. My acting teacher always said that you'd celebrate, even if you're pouring your guts out. You should enjoy it. It's a joyous thing because not many people. I mean, this is why people have breakdowns in reality because they don't get to exercise that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
She's like, give me that pen.
Thank you so much. Okay, 1, 2. There you go. Thank you. Hi. Hey, how are you? What's your name? Thank you. Good. Andrew, can you have a photo taken? No.
It's a zombie head with a Blu-ray in it.
I'll be right back.
Let me take one more.
Okay.
It's a little blurry. Did she get to it? What? Did she do it? Yes, she did. Lillian. Oh, the chair's here. That's why. Well, thank you. Here? Yep. Sorry. Hey, you want me to hold your phone?
Maybe after. No, just
Ha ha. Ha ha.
That's a pleasure. Cool, where we at? Get out of here.